Ryan, hello.
I'm always surprised every time I see you.
Once a month or so, you're like, "What are you doing here? I'm in front of my computer.
How did this happen?" We're just kidding, folks. We planned this whole thing.
Yeah,
very poorly.
You're watching my dinner with Ryan and Neil, etc. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having dinner with us.
And thank you to, let me see. Oh, I forgot to practice this part of the show. Thanks to Frigid New York for hosting us. They're always so lovely with their digital space. And sorry, maybe.
I think we're
the Frigid thing with the beers. Hey, love it.
Yay, Frigid.
Love it.
You can see them in their live spaces now.
That's true.
Under St. Mark's, I remember, was one of them.
And the Crane Theater is the other.
The Crane Theater.
Yeah. This is why we have to have the two of us.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would be like you'd only be going to one. Yeah. You'd be going to so many.
Wow.
So many shows at Frigid. So Neil, I do have to say, happy anniversary.
And also with your spirit.
This is we started last year in September.
Well, congratulations to us. We made it a whole year.
We did.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're going to keep the magic alive.
That's right.
That's the hardest part.
Yes. Luckily for you, I got what is traditional for the first anniversary, which is paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a paper napkin. And I'm going to buy you lunch in person in 2 weeks.
Aw.
That's right.
I'm going to buy you lunch in person in 2 weeks.
Ooh, okay. I like how this is turning out for us.
Like, we're just buying outrageous meals. Like,
or we lowball it and we're just like, I got you a bag of chips and a soda.
Yeah.
It's lunch sometimes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's have dinner with somebody else tonight.
Let's do that. We always enjoy when we have another person joining us for dinner. We rarely do it for lunch, and that's why we do this for dinner. Exactly. So, our guest tonight has been in the New York Post, in Forbes, and on the Today Show. She's the creator host of Funny Women of a Certain Age, which will be coming to you soon at the Crane Theater in New York, and we'll hear more about that in a bit. And we'll also hear about her solo show, An Evening with Carole Montgomery, which will be at Don't Tell Mama. That's right. Please welcome Carole Montgomery.
Hello.
Yay!
Hey, we did it. We made it into the middle. There we go. Woo! All right.
Yes.
We practiced for the audience. We practiced that. So
we did. It was like
repeatedly.
It was like a Rockettes level choreography.
Yes, it was very nice, but we did it.
We did.
So hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Cheers. I'm good. Cheers. I have my little rosé glass of wine. There we go.
Yeah.
Rosé because it's almost the end of summer.
Yes.
Do you not drink rosé the rest of the year, Carole?
I drink every day.
Okay. All right.
So yeah. So I mean, whatever is I don't drink $3 Chuck anymore.
Mm-hmm. We get 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm up to for me, if it's a $10 bottle of wine, it's a special occasion.
There you go.
Hey.
Yeah. So yeah, I drink it all the time.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me ask Ryan something. Ryan, did you bring food tonight? Do you have dinner here?
I did.
What do you got?
So these are tortellini and meatballs and
wow,
green beans.
Wow.
If you're in the Philadelphia area. Oh, it's full. Yeah, look at that.
Thanks, Amanda.
Wow.
Thank you, Amanda.
Wow.
If you're ever in the Philadelphia area, they have stores, but you can also get them in local grocery stores. P and S raviolis and tortellinis are amazing, but they have a terrible name, which is P and S raviolis.
It's very confusing.
And I had them all the time as a kid, and I never put it together that it was penis. Like, it just never occurred to me until as an adult. I was like, wait a minute, P and S? What were they thinking? So.
See, now I went with pissing and shitting. So, you see, I went...
Imagine that's the twist. You'd think it's where it's very subtle. That's why it's so good.
God, pissing ravioli sounds very painful. I gotta say,
it's like, God, yeah.
Delicious kidney stones.
Yeah.
Carole, do you have a little bite to eat as well?
Yeah, I just have some crackers and some dip. So just because I did have dinner already. So because I'm 63 years old, so I had dinner at 5.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
love it
because that's what we have to do when you're my age.
Yeah, yeah.
The early bird special. I could get that whole tortellini thing that you have for $5. So that's why I go to eat it. See.
Yeah. What am I doing? It's just eat at 5, going to bed at 8:30.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as I'm done with you guys, I'm in bed. So I'm just letting you know.
Well, if you need to lay down in the middle of it, that's fine too. If you want to relax.
Thank you. I might actually do that. I'll just tilt the camera.
Yeah.
You can see me on the floor.
Yeah. I recently found out that a relative who I never really actually got to meet before he passed would leave parties at his own house and just go take a little snooze in the middle, just to be like, I just need a pause from everybody, and just quietly walk out and just.
Yeah, but I'm not a big. I don't like to be around large groups of people, which kind of sucks since I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could absolutely see doing that. Absolutely going. Well, when I do have, and I very rarely have parties, but when I do have parties, this is when I lived in Vegas and we had a house and I was raising my son. People were there and I never engaged. I was always cleaning. I was always picking up stuff and making sure the food was. So I could absolutely see taking a nap.
Yeah. And you could have done it, and they're like, "Oh, she must be cleaning the bathroom or something." And then
Right. Yeah, because everyone knew that if you came to my house, I wasn't going to talk to you. I was just like going. But most of the parties were also Little League parties, so it's 12, 14-year-old smelly boys. So it's not like I really wanted to engage with them.
No. Plus, you probably had to clean immediately anyway.
Oh, you don't even. We won't even get into it, but it has a lot to do with the P&S.
Yeah, the
tortellini.
Yeah.
See how we did a big call?
Tortellini everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Little boys tortellini.
Neil.
Yeah.
Neil, what did you get for dinner?
Oh, I have. This is kind of a Sunday night thing around here sometimes. It's tempura cauliflower from Trader Joe's.
Oh.
A little rice and a little cashews as well. So
there you go.
Nothing too fancy, but hot.
It's got your proteins, got your fiber.
That's right.
Good to go.
Do I?
I assume cauliflower has fiber, right?
I don't know.
It feels like it probably does, right?
No, cauliflower has fiber.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
It's a vegetable. It's the only reason I eat vegetables. Fiber.
Amanda says cauliflower has a lot of fiber. All right. It's very definitive. Thank you again to Amanda from Frigid New York for being our little wonderful
Yes.
There we go. Tech manager.
Yeah.
Great work. Great work. Give it up for Amanda. Carole, other than Little League parties, have you had gatherings that you enjoy either at your home or other dinner parties?
I hate people.
You hate people?
Yeah. So
what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why are you hanging out with us?
What?
Because they said you'd be. This is food. You said we were eating, so I was like, oh, well, this I can do. Yeah. I've been to, like I said, I like this much better. I like the three of us and Amanda just one-on-one. I don't like it when it's a huge party and you have to. It's basically like speed dating, but you're at a party, so you have to call it speed socialize, where you're like, hey, how are you? Oh, yeah, really? Well, this happened. Oh, my son's doing this. See ya. And then you go to the next set. I'm good at it, like that, in Hollywood when I lived out there. That's called schmoozing, and I'm really good at that. But I prefer the one-on-one. I prefer sitting around and just a very good friend of mine named Regina DeChico, who's an amazing comedian. She's the warm-up act for The View. The last real fun party I had was at her place because her husband loves to cook and do all these like charcuterie plates and all that stuff. So that I guess was the last time, but it was all people I knew. I'm enjoying this because we're eating. But for the most part, if it's a big party and I don't know a lot of people, I pretty much just stay to myself. So I'm going to leave you guys now. So thanks so much for
that was great.
The dinner was great.
Yeah. Well, the worst part is, whenever you have like oh, so what's new? Whenever something happens in my life and I have a what's new, I get so excited because I'm like, for the next 3 months, I have something to talk about.
Yeah. Right.
But a bunch of people met up from the comedy community here in Philly a couple, I think 2 months ago over the summer. We were all outdoors. And everyone's like, what's new? And it's like, nothing. Literally nothing is new. I've been doing literally the same thing you've been doing.
Right.
In my house.
Right.
Not being funny.
Yeah. A pandemic happened. That's what's new. And it's still happening because people are idiots. So
exactly. Very much so. And then one of my friends wrote a book and he was just like the king of the party. He was like, had something new. We're like, oh my God, I'll talk to you all day. What? Tell me more. What kind of paper are you using?
Yeah, my husband is great at small talk. I am not at all because I just don't have it in me. I think it's because I have a no bullshit attitude in life. Mm-hmm. So I'm not good at small talk.
Yeah, you're not doing like, oh man, how'd you get here? Like, oh, you took 95? Oh yeah, no, I usually do. You go up to the Tappan Zee, you come back, or you go to?
At that point, if you were saying that to me, I probably would have stabbed you by now.
That's why we do this virtually.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Carole, do you and your husband have like an explicit, split or strategy for how to handle parties? If you're both something, What do you guys do?
Well, I think I'm not the only person that's ever done this, but I'm better at names than he is. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we've got it down. Like if we're at a party and somebody's like, Carole, how are you? And I cannot remember the person's name. So I go, come here. This is my husband, Todd. And he always goes, and you are?
No.
Mm-hmm. So we've got it down. I mean, we have both done that so many times in parties because he's a musician. And when we lived in LA, we did a lot of, we were part of that whole music scene. So it was a lot of that. It was like, oh, hi, I'm Carole, and your name, we've got it down. But he's way better. He's way better at that. I just, I want to get to the food and the drink.
Right. It's like, excuse me.
Yeah, I have to get. There's an open bar.
It's so great to see you. Let me just fetch a drink. Yeah, and then you just never speak to them again that night, and see them again in a year, and don't remember their name then.
Exactly. That is me. You just described me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're in this situation. Like, oh, I remember you. You were blocking the bar.
Yes.
And you're doing it again.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Do you have Carole, do you have like a favorite all-time dinner party memory? One where you went to and you were like, you know what? This is a good one. I don't hate this.
That's a good question. It would probably, and of course this is going to sound like I'm doing this to plug my TV show, but fuck it, I don't care.
Okay.
So
this is what you're here for. Plug away.
Yeah. So the evening that my first special on Showtime premiered in March of 2019, we were at a friend's house, and it was a dinner party, and we hung out and we were drinking, and there was great food and great company, and then we got to watch the special. So of course that was great because I had already seen the special since I had taped it, but it was nice to see the reaction of people close to me who had waited, and they had that particular party. They had all been at the taping, so that was really probably the nicest dinner party I've been to. I've also been to parties where I'm just like, I need to leave soon. What's the excuse? Mm-hmm. Now, I have a grown son now. He's 29. But back in the day when he was a kid, that was the best excuse.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my babysitter just called. I have to. Yeah, your son's 27. I know, but the babysitter called. He needs you.
Yeah. So he can't go to.
He can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I can't find his binky. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ryan, you're also a parent. Have you used your child to get out of social engagements?
Oh yeah,
with me.
No, you don't invite me to enough social engagements that I can use it.
Boys, don't make me.
Sorry.
We're already separated, boys. All right, so make me know. I'll put you together.
Because my son's 4, so it's like.
Oh, that's the best age for this.
Yeah.
For the excuse.
Listen, you're like, oh, my parents are watching him tonight, and I don't want them to drive home too late.
Right. I have had said. I have. My son's going to hate me for saying this, but there have been many times there's been the mention of explosive diarrhea, and I have had to come home.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's happened.
Nobody asks more questions beyond that.
That's happened not as an excuse. Like
it's also the thing where nobody asks a follow up like 3 days.
Right.
Nobody says like, "Oh, how's your son's stomach?" Nobody's just gonna push that one.
How was your son? Like, what do you
think? What? I don't know either. My son, he's fine. He was out partying a couple of. You said he had explosive diarrhea.
Yeah, partying. He was
partying.
He was out of control.
He got it.
Yeah. Somebody laced the cocaine with that, a laxative, and look what happened. This is.
Next thing you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Hissing and shitting ravioli. Carole, when we were bringing you on, we mentioned that you have some shows coming up.
Yes.
Talk about those a little bit.
Sure. So I created 4 years ago. I created a show called Funny Women of a Certain Age. Funny Never Gets Old is there you go, there it is. Funny Never Gets Old at the Crane. And it was basically I came up with the idea because I was tired of female comics not getting work because you usually only see one female comic on a show.
Yeah. And
so I was like, I want to work with my girlfriends. So I came up with the show. It snowballed into an amazing brand of top headliners who happen to be over 50s. And even I've actually lowered the age to 40. So for the live show, there are women over 40 because in 40 years, at 40 is when a woman is discarded anyway. Like I have a line in my act where I say, men don't experience ageism until they're in their 70s, but for a woman, it's 15.
Oh God!
I didn't mean to make you spit up. Sorry.
No, good though. Yeah.
So that's what it came out, and we've had a residency at the Crane, which is run by Frigid New York, and they were the first people. There you go. Point right up to that sign. They were the first people to believe in the show. Cool. We've had a residency. I think we're starting our 4th year. We have a monthly residency with the Crane. They could not have been. It's the reason we have the specials. It's the reason when we did we did an industry showcase and we did it at the Crane and Showtime along with HBO and Amazon and everyone was there. We did it there. Yeah. And because of that, having that space and being able to, build the brand, I will always work at the Crane. The show will always be there. And the reason we're morphing Funny Women of a Certain Age with Funny Never Gets Old is a lot of people, and rightly so, there are a ton of guys who are also over 50 who haven't gotten their breaks. I mean, like a lot of guys will say to me, how come you haven't done Funny Men of a Certain Age? I said, because Louis C.K. doesn't need my fucking help. That's why.
Yeah.
He needs
somebody's
help. In so many ways.
He doesn't. Yeah. But you know what I mean? But there are, it's not just, yes, there are many more older men that are successful in this business. Yeah. But there are a lot of older men that, also need so eventually I would like it to be where it's a blend of people. Men and women, all genders, whatever you identify as, I'd like to have that because the credo of the show is that funny doesn't get old. Just because when we shot that first special we shot it at the Bell House in Brooklyn, which is a hipster,
Very cool spot. Yeah.
Yeah. And half of my audience were in their 20s. We had a lot of older people, but we also had a lot of younger people. So, and they say every time it's always a mixture of people. So this whole bullshit about, you're discarded at a certain age, I'm trying to lead the charge to say, no, I'm 63 years old. I came up with this idea when I was 59.
Right.
And then leading up into the show at Don't Tell Mamas, what happened is we taped our third special on August 31st, and hopefully we'll have an air date and we can tell people where it's going to be.
Love that.
But I spent the last 6 months working on getting a new bit together for this. So I decided to do an evening with Carole Montgomery at Downtown Barlow because it was like, okay, you've done that, you've concentrated that. Let's force yourself to do something else. Because I don't know about you guys. I'm very lazy when it comes to comedy. I'm very.
Ryan's so lazy, he makes other people do his comedy.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Well, I always joke, because I used to always joke before the pandemic. I was always like, you know what would be great? If I could do stand up from my bed. So I feel like it's my fault we have Zoom shows, because I think I put that out into the universe that, so I really, like I told you when we were doing the pre-interview, I really don't know what I'm going to do. I have notes and I'm going to wing it but the people who will come to it, you're going to get to see me try to figure out what I want to talk about next, but it will be mostly about aging. And the way, and the fact is, like, I'm very anti-plastic surgery. I'm very anti, and I have tons of bits about it. But the problem I have with plastic surgery with women is there's a certain, when you get it done, you look like everyone else who's had the same plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
And I don't understand that. I don't. Why do you want to look exactly like somebody else? It's like one step away from The Handmaid's Tale and one step below the Stepford Wives.
Right.
So when we wonder why all this bullshit's happening in like Texas and all the southern states with women's rights, it's like maybe if we didn't all fucking look like each other, we could do something about this.
There you go. Is there a particular plastic surgery that you see most often? I'm just curious. I feel like it's kind of been like under the radar, like people aren't talking about it as much as when it was like Joan Rivers and like that woman that looks like a lion.
Right. First of all, the thing about doing virtual shows is that you see yourself, and I'm like, oh shit, look at me. Like I would like to have somebody just hold my cheeks up, just do this, and then of course somebody hold my ass up, but that's your cheeks, but
both cheeks,
right. Okay, so you see the difference, right? But you know what? I don't know. I don't understand the whole face thing. I worked in Vegas for 10 years, and the women, the dancers, a lot of the dancers got a lot of work done, a lot of boob jobs, a lot of nose jobs. But one of the girls got a facelift, and she came in, and here's what people don't realize about plastic surgery is they're cutting your face. She showed me, I can't really, let me see if I can. So right over here behind my ear, she had like a Frankenstein all the way, like you could, if you pulled her hair back, you saw like this, it looked like Frankenstein because they had cut her face and then they had pulled it back. And I'm like, I can't.
That's where they put the microchip.
Right, exactly. It's like, exactly.
It's in the facelift.
It's the facelift. So, and then a neighbor of mine many years ago who was not even in the business. Like, I understand show business, I do, because we live in a business where they want, they want women to look a certain way. The woman should be 20 while she's, screwing the 70-year-old movie star. So I understand why they do that. But this woman was she was a housewife, okay? And she went and got work done. And she came over to my house one day, like a week after, and she was covered. She looked like she had been in, like 10 rounds with,
like Holyfield or something.
Like, yeah. I mean, like, and she said, do you mind taking me to the supermarket? Because, I said, sure. And we went and everything. And she said to me, she goes, I will never do this again. This is the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. It's so horrible. Now, fast forward, a year later.
Oh boy.
we were out to dinner. We were taking, because they were my neighbors, and her sons used to stay. They used to hang out. My husband's he's a real great dad, so all the kids always come and hang with him. And so we went to take her oldest boy out for dinner. He had graduated high school, and we're sitting there and we're having, small chat like we're doing now. And she goes, "So next year, I think I'm going to get another facelift." And I lost it. And in front of her sons, I went, "You fucking said you were never going to do this because this was painful." She goes, Oh, I was kidding. I knew it. And I was like, what?
The hell you were.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh my God.
You're going to do it again? You do? What? I mean, and then the other thing that I've said, and I've talked about this in my act, is everyone who's afraid of aging, okay? I think you should be afraid of not aging, because that would mean you're dead.
That's true.
If you don't get to grow old, that means you died.
Yeah.
Right.
So why are you so afraid of aging? And I don't get me started, boys.
We did. It's too late. We did.
Oh no, you've already started.
That's why you're here.
Yes, but it's just and then the other thing, like I'm trying not to make this like this bully pulpit, but I don't understand why women feel the need to do this, because I think it has to do with attracting men.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'm very lucky. I've been with my husband for 40 years. We've been through horrible things. We've been through great things. I love him the way he looks. He loves me the way I look. Like one of my jokes is, the great thing of being married a long time is because you can say, well, they've seen me naked and they like it. So I don't understand this whole myth of of watching these young women and they're just like, women are doing this stuff now in their 40s. My age, 60s was when maybe you did it. And right. When you mentioned Joan Rivers, and may she rest in peace, and I love her to death. But there was that she came from that generation of I have to look this way. And the same thing with Phyllis Diller. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to make women understand that you don't have to do that shit. I mean, right. If you're doing it, if you're doing that, so a man will say, "Oh, I want to have sex with you," or "I want to marry you," he's not the right fucking guy.
That's accurate.
Just a little tip.
Yeah, there you go. Everyone at home, just get out. Find someone who likes you for you. Well, they did a study where it was like they asked people, oh, what's your type or whatever, and then like who did you, and then like who actually you ended up with, and it was like I don't know, it was like 99 out of 100 were like, it turns out they were interested in me. And that was the bar. That was like it wasn't like oh I like redheads and she's a brunette. Like she was really nice to me, so
there we are.
There we go.
Yeah.
And this is your wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
My wife and I have a joke that like we are the exact opposites of what like our normal, what would like our supposed like fantasy like person would be.
Mm-hmm. Me and my husband too. We always say that, like he's not what I thought I was going to end up with, and I'm sure I wasn't what he was going to end up with. But you find somebody who. This is going to sound so cliche. Who completes you? Do you know what I mean? And we're look at you. Look how adorable. But it's true. So I don't understand when people do the whole, well, I'm going to change. I'm going to make myself look a certain way because maybe it will bring something.
It is. I feel like there is kind of. I remember I don't know. It was a friend of a friend. You're at a bar and it's like, oh, here's I know this guy or whatever kind of a thing, and he was like kind of climbing his way up through like doing sales at like a tech company or something, coming like a big shot or something. And he's like somehow like mentioned this girl that he'd known since like grade school that he was like clearly in love with. He's like, but no, I'm waiting for like a blonde model type. And I'm like,
oh yeah, bro, don't. Yeah.
What are you doing? Like,
no.
Clown.
And why do you want, and that's the, and for the man, why do you want a woman that's a blonde model? What do you think that's going to do for your self-esteem? Because you're going to walk into a room and you really want to walk into a room where every man wants to fuck your wife?
Yeah. I mean, I try to tell myself that just,
Because your wife is a blonde model. All right,
and I tell my wife that.
I see.
I'm like, we're leaving. Everyone here. I could see everyone here. That's why. That's the excuse to get out of a party. It's like, I'm sorry, we have to go. Everyone here is nice fucking you since we got here.
My son has explosive diarrhea, and everybody wants to fucking the day.
But I'll tell you, this is the relationship I have with my husband, and like I said, we've been together a very long time. So when we were, I was living in LA, and he was working at a record label, and but and he played music, and I was doing comedy, and I want to say I'm probably wrong on this, but the only club I can remember is the Roxy, which is a big deal on Sunset Strip. So he was playing at the Roxy, and I was doing some gigs in the city, like at the Improv or at the Laugh Factory. So I didn't get to the gig until later. And I get in and I walk over and I see him talking to this Amazon, this just gorgeous, 8 foot tall African American model, just going, and the two of them are having the best time. And so I just, because I don't care, I really don't, and I just walk over, and I went, "Hey, honey," and this is my husband. My husband turns to me and then turns to her and goes, "This is my wife, the woman I was just talking about."
Oh.
There we go.
And she was like, "Oh my God, you're a comedian," and like it was like, and you're standing there going, yeah, but that's the relationship we've had. We've always had that. The same thing with me. My husband will see me. I work in a predominantly male industry. Male comics are calling me at all hours of the night. Hey, do you want to do this gig, or can I hitch a ride, or can you recommend me to somebody? One of the comics that I work with a lot is a guy from the Philly area. He lives in Philly. His name's Mark Riccadonna. Mm-hmm. And I've taken him on military tours with me. He's a really great comic. He's a great actor, and we were doing a gig before COVID, of course, and they had given the headliner, which I was, they had given me a hotel room, but they weren't giving the MC, which he was, but he was driving me. Yeah. So I said to him, then just stay in my room, get 2 beds and stay over. And my husband didn't blink and his wife didn't blink because they know that we're friends and we're not going to, the only thing was the next morning I called his wife. This guy snored and farted at the same time. And I called her up. I said, how are you married to this man? How do you survive the snoring? And then he'd stop snoring and then he'd start farting. So the thought of, we went to a Dodger game when we were in LA in July. Oh, I'm trying to find you guys. I lost you. So we're in LA. So you can imagine the women. And this woman sat next to my husband with her boyfriend. She was wow.
Which woke you up? Which woke you up first?
The noise. The noise. It was like
it was like a sucker punch. You're like,
what? Yeah, it was like thunder. It was really, But so this woman sat next to us, and I kept calling her. She wasn't a Barbie doll, but everything on her was fake. And the thing in LA now, when I was living in LA, it was the blondes and everything. But now it's every woman wants to look like a Kardashian. So it was the straight black hair that was obviously extensions. Mm-hmm. Her tits were like, she had a fake butt. She had and I remember thinking, and and the guy sitting there, and it was exactly the man you think he is, big fat guy smoking it. I was like, oh my God,
Tony Soprano, basically.
Yeah. And it was, and I couldn't believe it. And I kept looking at her because I kept trying to see what she really looked like, and she had those eyelashes that are out to here, and I never understand this. I'm like, why are you wearing these? Because men are not looking up here, okay? So if you're gonna right, but if you're gonna wear but if you're gonna wear these type of things and you want to get noticed, put them on your tits because that's where they're looking.
The weirdest thing is like with my son, especially when he was like between the ages of from when he was born to like 2, he had these huge, like super long eyelashes. everywhere we go, women would be like, "Oh my god, his eyelashes are amazing. I'm so jealous." And I'm like, "Okay,
take my son's eyelashes then, ladies."
I didn't
like what? Okay, so
Work them out.
But look, I do understand that, because when you do get older, you do lose your lashes. I mean, they just start to get, they don't become as lush. But like every time I've done the specials, the makeup lady says, "Do you want the real false eyelashes?" And now they have, gentlemen, just so you know, and this is good for your son if his lashes, you can buy you can put separate eyelashes on. Like tiny ones, so they look like you have them, but it's not like the major, these.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
See.
So you have them in right now?
No. This is actually mascara. This is like 17 layers of mascara, trying to get them up, because they are. The thing, there's, like I said, it's great to age, because what the alternative is death. So that's. But there are things like, you're like, oh, look at that. Oh, my eyelashes are not as it. And, like Terry Hatcher, who is one of the ladies that is on my third special, she talks about how thin her skin is. She has a joke where she goes, I cut myself on a Post-it note, which I think is so fucking funny. It's like, what a great line. But that's what happens. Things happen and you go, oh, that's interesting. Like my husband and I, when we wake up in the morning, you would think we were 102 years old, because we walk up. My back is killing me. He can't walk. And you're just like, but I'd rather be doing that than be eating worms.
Yeah.
But you're beautiful being eaten.
I would.
Just everyone's like, oh man, that is one good looking corpse. Sitting next to you at the ball game. So I do have a question, because you said that your age limit is like 40. Are you scouting anybody? Is there anybody who's like 38 or 39? You're like, 2 years. Like they're in the farmings right now. You're like, oh, can't wait for you to get.
That's 30. Actually, my favorite thing about doing this show is being able to walk up to women and go, I'm sorry, you're too young.
And a 39-year-old who's just like,
What?
Yeah.
It's a great thing. Yeah, because I get women all the time, and they go, hey, and I said, eventually, and, if eventually I would like to have funny women of a certain age in their 70s, an episode 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s.
Yeah.
Even 20s, because like I said, we age differently.
Mm-hmm.
Women don't, we don't have the luxury of aging. Like look at these poor women, the young girls, the gymnastics that we just saw in the Olympics. And, these girls are not even, maybe they're 21 years old and they're all, they're going to be retiring soon.
Right.
I would kill.
That's when they become stand-up comedians. Stand-up comedians.
Just get them. You got to get them. It's like,
just gonna do a little set here. They say, a perfect 5. We call this.
Yes, exactly.
It's a bit like watching football as a man, though, because you're just like, oh my god, that running back is so old, and he's 10 years younger than me. Like,
right.
Yeah. Oh god.
Well,
he's 25. He's, you're like.
Well, my son is 29 now, and my son used to play Little League, so. Mm-hmm. So when we watch, and we're all huge baseball fans, we're Mets fans. So sorry, Philadelphia, because
interesting life choice you're making there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yankees.
You've done this for all the years?
All the years. I have been a Mets fan since I was a kid. So because I like pain, and but. My son actually I think he's a Philly. Is Bryce Harper a Philly now?
He is.
Yes. Okay. He actually played Little League with my son. They played against each other.
That's right.
Great connection.
I was just at the Phillies game last night, and he said he was from Las Vegas.
He's from Las Vegas. So, like to me, I look at him, and he doesn't look anything like my son. He looks like he's 85 years older than my kid, because he's all muscled out and he's all this and that. Right. But even that group in their 29s, like we were watching, I think it's the Mets shortstop Lindor. I think he's 22, and I'm like, He's a baby. Yeah. Yeah. Oh well, more wine.
Yeah. Someone right now is making the excuse that he's explosive diarrhea and they need to leave a party.
Yeah. Exactly. And he's going to be the Mets MVP in 2000 and something. 220. Yeah. What? Oh, no.
I
no.
literally don't know what year it is.
Huh?
I don't know what year it is. The other day I was like, oh yeah, it's coming up in wait, no. It's 2020. No, it's not 2020. It's 2021.
No, still writing out all your checks.
Yeah.
Already going to be 2022. We're already in September, man. There's 4 more months left.
And then I'll turn 40, and then I can be a stand-up of a certain age in 2022. Yeah. That's my deal.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You're recruiting now, it turns out.
I still have 3 years, so
yeah. Kelsey,
I'm going to workshop my material now. So
start writing your jokes right.
Yeah.
Now, exactly.
Although I started feeling old at 25. I feel like 25 was when the wheels started to come off the wagon. Just like.
It's funny because my son's best friend came to visit. He lives in Vegas, but he's out here working, and he came to visit. And he was staying with us this weekend, and he said to me, he goes, I was on the plane coming here to New York, and when I got off the plane, my whole body hurt. I'm like, you're fucking 30. Shut up. He's like, no, it really hurt. And I was like, yeah. And my son has said the same thing. My son started to lose his hair when he was 22. He's like, really, Mom? I said, I'm sorry. It's my side. It's the mother side. It's always, But I think the question we all have to say is, when are you really ever young? That's really it, because you start feeling old
by the time you're like 15, basically.
Right.
By the time you notice anything, you're like,
right. And I mean, people have always said that my son was an old soul. So like in kindergarten, he was already like, old. You know what I mean? Like, so, he was taking his little lunchbox to kindergarten, like, I gotta go to kindergarten now. So I don't think this and I think this has to do with the media and how they want you to perceive stuff. But I don't think there really is a time when unless you're a baby.
Right.
And even sometimes you look at babies, you're like, those babies look old.
That's an old baby.
That's an old baby.
That's an old baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, old baby. Everything hurts. I think that the first time I was like, maybe I'm old I was probably like 24, and we had it was the first apartment, and then we had trick-or-treaters, but we had a bunch of candy left over. I went to town on it like I was 7, and I was so
sick.
And I was like, what happened? And I was like, oh, I can't eat like an animal anymore.
Right.
And I'm still trying to recover from not eating like an animal.
Well, but that's the sugar thing hits you fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was mentioning my friend Mark, who lives in Philly. At his wedding, usually I just drink wine, but for some reason he actually had the reception was at a comedy club, which was hysterical, but they didn't have any. You're not going to really get good wine at a comedy club. So I was drinking rum and Diet Cokes, and I was drinking, open bar and everything.
Sure.
And his family, they're a long line of Italians. Their thing they had a cookie table. So people so everyone brought cookies, homemade cookies. So I'm drinking and I'm eating. I was so sick the next day. I gotta say,
I love the Diet Coke with tons of cookies where damn well that's regular ass white sugar in those. You're like, but it's Diet Coke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It can't be this bad.
Yeah.
And I remember and I was like, I can't drink and have sugar anymore. And that was Mark's been married 10, 12 years. So that was when I was in my 50s, and I was like, what? Yeah. So yeah. And then of course, explosive diarrhea happens in your 60s too.
There you go. And then you're like, I'm sorry, I need to leave this party because I'm explosive diarrhea.
My son is fine.
Yeah.
Yes, but
I have to check on me, in fact.
Yeah. My son and I are both having
explosive diarrhea.
Oh, God.
So we always like to ask our guests what sort of what are you what other sort of media are you watching? What shows, movies, books, music?
Well, I'm a sitcom baby. I love sitcoms. So during the pandemic, we have Hulu and Netflix and all that stuff. We started watching. Well, the first thing I watched, which was we used to watch this when we first moved back here, was a TV show called Burn Notice about the Burn spy.
Burn Notice.
Yeah.
So we watched every episode, and this is how we all thought. Because I forget, it was like a billion seasons. Right. My husband and I, we were both like, we'll watch Burn Notice, we'll watch the whole season, and then the pandemic will be over. Right. And then we watched the next season. We watched the whole series, and we weren't even close to being out of this shit. Okay. Yeah. So then we watched the whole Newhart series. We watched the first one. Mm-hmm. We're finishing up. We're on the last episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show, which I don't know if you guys are fans of those.
Yeah,
I've never sat down to it was always on in reruns, as you might imagine.
Right.
When I was like 8, 10, 12, and I was always like, not for me. But now I'm very curious to give it a try.
Yeah. You really should. Okay, and the pilot, and this is the reason I got turned on by pilot. My friend Julia Scotti, who was on my second special, an amazing comic, she said, "Did you ever see the pilot?" I said, "No." She goes, "Dick Van Dyke's not in the pilot." I said, "What are you talking about?" So you have to see the pilot. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
Carl Reiner, who created the Dick Van Dyke Show, plays the Dick Van Dyke character.
Wow.
And Mary Tyler Moore is not his wife. It's another sitcom woman. And it's when you watch it, your mind goes, Carl ends up being in the series. He plays his boss and everything.
Yeah.
But it's so great to watch that. And then that hooked us. And then we just started watching all of it. And now we're also watching, as a companion piece, we're watching the Mary Tyler Moore Show, which also... Jesus, you watch, to me, if you ever want to do a sitcom, watch the Mary Tyler Moore Show, because that is the perfect sitcom. The character, like that, we're already in I think it's the 6th season. So Rhoda's gone. Mm-hmm. Phyllis is left because she's doing her series.
Right. Yeah.
So Betty White and Georgia Ingalls are the female friends. Right. Betty White. Oh my God, Betty White.
Still kicking.
But
and kicking hard.
She is so. I watch her and she's amazing. And then I was on the plane coming home from LA last week, and I started watching The Golden Girls, and it was like, holy shit! These are sitcoms. Why aren't they doing this shit now?
Her timing is like, like her timing, like when you like people talk about being funny and like talk about timing, but like when you watch Betty White, it's like she is just like the exact microsecond where it's funny. She's there and she's got it.
Oh my God, she is. I mean, I would love. I would love to have her be on one of the Funny Women specials, because I would be like this. I mean, I wouldn't know what to say to her. Yeah. I mean, I want her to live long enough that I can get her on one of my specials, along with Lily Tomlin. Those are my two bucket list.
Yeah.
But the timing on Betty White and that whole group,
B. Arthur,
Rue McClanahan, and who was the other?
Oh shoot,
this is terrible.
Why are we forgetting who the other one was? Oh no, Sophia Estelle Getty.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
So thank you.
And what's so funny, because you're a comedy guy, so you'll understand this. When you go, I was just realizing this. Golden Girls is why Sex and the City happened, because it's the same show,
right?
Yeah. Except it's 4 younger women. It's the same fucking show,
and less funny.
Right. So, but like, for example, Samantha is Rue McClanahan.
That's true.
It's like it's always this.
It all maps out.
Yeah, it's wild.
I saw this thing once. I don't know if this website's still in existence. It's called Cracked, but they did this video about how, you have like the Sex and the City women and the Golden Girls and like the Ninja Turtles and like the Beatles, and they're always there's these 4 different types of people. So there's the leader, there's the emotional one, there's sort of the shy, bookish one, and then there's the party one. And it's like there's always that 4, and it's always those 4 people that just keep showing up over and over again.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That is like when people talk about writing comedy, there's certain things, and that's one of them. What you just said, like even with let's say with Mary Tyler Moore. Okay, let's not even talk about let's just talk about the office that she's in. So there's there's Mary, obviously. Right. There's Lou. There's Ted. And there's Murray. Now think about what you just said, and each of them fit one of those characters.
Yeah. Yep.
And when and every sitcom that's worth its weight in gold has those characters. So when I watch sitcoms today, and I'm like,
which are you? Because they're trying to like, okay, what's that next step? And it's like, no, you have to have the base first, and then you can do whatever else.
Then you can expand your little world. Yeah,
absolutely,
trying to like bend it and go beyond it, and you're like,
right, absolutely. I have not seen Ted Lasso. Excuse me, but from what I've heard, everyone says it's a classic sitcom. It's written that way, and so I'm making sure that I still have to go through all my old sitcoms before. Like my husband was like, "Well, we should watch the Brady Bunch pilot." I went, "Why would we do that?" I mean, I loved the Brady Bunch when I was a kid because I loved Barry Williams because he was so dreamy, but. I mean that was not anything. That was that wasn't funny. It was the Partridge Family wasn't funny.
It was wallpaper.
They're like kind of dramedies, and they're like, oh, it's a little sappy, it's a little message, it's a little this, and you're like, it's not a sitcom. It really isn't. Even when it's funny, it's not a sitcom.
Yeah. But even when we talk about animation, like The Simpsons, Marge, Homer, Bart, Lisa.
Right.
Okay, and then the baby is the other character, and then Bob's Burger, the same thing. The wife and the husband and 3 kids, and like the sister. It's fascinating if you start to break down.
Right.
But it comes down to what you just said: the 4 different people.
Yep.
And that is our lesson on comedy today.
You're welcome. You're getting it, folks, but.
Venmo all of us because we just gave you a lesson in fucking comedy, people.
Right. And Betty White, if you're watching right now. Reach out
the show.
Please
on
God.
Instagram or Twitter.
Also,
how did you find the show, Betty? How excited are you here?
If you can fill out the survey when you're done, that would be
God, I would love to I like I said, my whether or not they could do my show, but I would love to meet Lily and I would love to meet Betty White because just to watch them when they're so good at what they do, you just like, and you mentioned The Sopranos. Like to me, James Gandolfini is probably one of the best actors of our lifetime, and just to watch him, that the fact that he played such a piece of shit on television, and you still liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember because one of the characters, the gentleman that played Bobby Bacala, is a very dear friend of mine. He's the reason why I ended up in Las Vegas because Steve Sharippa used to be the entertainment director at the Riviera Hotel, and that's how I ended up in Vegas because there was somebody had gotten ill and they asked me to replace her, and so he was the guy in charge of all that, and so so we would watch the show all the time, and my son was really young. And one time I was like, he goes, well, I want to see Steve. You keep talking about him. He's on the show. And I said, okay, you can watch this episode. And of course, I realized as he's watching it, this is going to be the episode where they kill a guy and then chop him up in the bathroom in the tub. And I went, you need to go to bed now because you don't need to. You don't need to see Uncle Steve killing somebody. Okay, so but. I'm always in awe. Like people, people talk about Pacino and they talk about De Niro but to me, when I see somebody like a Gandolfini or I see somebody like a Betty White, like to me, those are people that don't get their due as much as they should.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like just like that. It's kind of like people when musicians talk about Ringo Starr, where he's not Flash, he's no Keith Moon. Like he held that band together. Like
absolutely.
He literally kept it going.
You could set him your watch to him like his drum.
Right. Exactly. That's a great and both my husband and my son are huge Beatle fans, and so I through osmosis. But that you're spot on. Because
He's also
Ringo,
pretty funny.
yeah. Oh, yeah, he was. He was very funny. But he was like, because he wasn't as cute as, the rest of the boys.
Yeah.
He did, but you're absolutely right. He kept that band together.
Yeah. Exactly. So we Neil and I usually ask our guests for a personal anecdote that happened recently, but a previous guest then later told us a really exciting anecdote that happened in her life that we were blown away by. So we would like to know, what is your absolute most outrageous, like incredible anecdote of your life? If you're like, I've got one anecdote to wow Betty White, who's now watching this.
Oh, shit. Oh,
yeah. How
okay.
do you? Yeah.
Okay, well, the greatest thing, and this is, because I'm a mother, but the greatest thing that ever happened to me, of course, was giving birth to my son. So,
so painful, you'd never want to do it again.
No. Oh, and I tell him that you fucking ruined my body. And he's like, Mom, I'm 5. Okay, so, but and I love telling the story because this was pre-internet, pre-cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had cameras, because remember in the days when we used to make fun of the Japanese tourists who used to always carry cameras.
Pictures of things. Yeah.
Right. Well,
now here we are.
They were there. They knew what was coming. But anyway, so I'm at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, and I did a set, and it was in the original room. There's the original room, the main room, the other room. So the original room is the room that is the show that they do during the week, and then on the weekends is the big room. So I'm doing a set. I get off stage. It was a good set, And this giant man comes up to me. He's like 8 feet tall. He's like this. He looked like Men in Black with the earphone and everything. And he leans over to me and he goes, "Excuse me, Miss Montgomery." I said, "Yes." Because Mr. Pryor would like to speak with you.
What?
Yeah, I get emotional every time I talk about this story because it was, and I went, okay, and he was sitting next to Mitzi Shore. And Mitzi, of course, it was the owner of the Comedy Store. She was a big supporter of mine. And he was very ill, and he was sitting next to her, and somebody else was on. So he leaned into me, and he goes, "I think you're very funny." Wow. And I looked at Mitzi, and I went, "I'm done." And I got up, and I walked to the payphone. People.
Yep.
And I called my husband and I started crying. I was hysterical crying. And he's like, "What happened? What happened?" I went, "Richard Pryor thinks I'm funny." And he goes, "That's a good thing." "No, he thinks I'm funny." And that's my favorite. That's my favorite anecdote because, and like I said to everybody, there were no cell phones. I couldn't take a selfie with him. Right. I have no proof that he said that. Mitzi's gone. He's gone.
Right.
But it was such an emotional moment for me because when you're a young comic, and this is when I don't even know if my son was born yet. So we're talking, my son's 29. So let's say this was over 30 years ago.
Right.
So when when you do comedy in the beginning and you're young and you take everything personally, and everything is so hard, and it's just everything is just, and the fact that Richard Pryor told me I was funny was like, okay, I don't have to do comedy anymore because my hero just told me I was funny. And then I do remember going back in after I called my husband. Richard went on, and he was very sick. He was at the tour, and he goes on stage, and they held him on stage, and he's very thin, and he's he can't really speak and everything. And somebody heckled him.
Oh.
And if I tell you, I don't know what happened, but his brain clicked right back into old Pryor, and he probably spent 5 minutes fucking destroying this guy.
Yeah.
Like, what the motherfucker did you and the audience went crazy. And then he went back to being this frail, but it was fascinating to watch that he still had it in his brain somewhere to go, right. Did you just fucking heckle me?
Yeah.
It was great. It was a wonderful, and of course you'll never see it because there were no cell phones back then.
Yeah.
Because that was it was 1920.
Well, when you were just a young lass.
Yeah. Yes, a young lass. Yes.
Yes. Back when they were inventing stand-up comedy.
Exactly.
You only needed one joke, and that was enough to get you dinner.
And it was a banana peel. Yeah.
Woo!
Woo! Well, Carole, we'd like to toast you for being such a great.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh! Cheers!
Thank you. Cheers! Thank you, guys. This was so much fun.
Carole, please come back sometime. This was a lovely little gathering.
Yes, and we can.
Three people. That's what we like. It turns out.
Yes, because I don't like anybody, so I like you guys because I love talking about comedy. I mean, I can talk about comedy because and when you're around other people that know comedy, because when you talk comedy and you see the young people going, what?
Yeah, what?
But you guys know what I'm talking about. So it's a pleasure to join you, and we can talk. Next time I would love to.
Yeah. We'll make a podcast. The three of us will start a podcast.
That's right. And we hope to get you up in New York next time I'm up too.
Yes, please. So let me know. I should be around. I never know what I one of the thing I wonder if this is with you guys too, but I've said to people, the great thing about the pandemic made you realize that we have no fucking control over anything. Do you know what I'm saying?
If you get vaccinated.
Right. But yes.
People at home, Betty White.
In the grand scheme of things. Yeah.
Right. But very quickly, because I know we have to go. But for example, when we were taping the third special, we were supposed to tape it on July 20th. So me and my husband, my son, we go out. I get myself a suite. I'm going to be like, this is it. Third one. The 2 days before, I get a message saying that somebody had been exposed to COVID. Oh. And we had to shut down a very expensive production 2 days before the taping. Oh, so what life taught me is there's nothing you can do about it. We ended up, we postponed it, and we did thank goodness, we did get to tape it. But that's what happens. And when you get older, you just go, okay. What are you going to do? And that's the thing because I don't know about you, but when COVID happened, I was like, well, fuck it. We're all dying. So, let's start making fucking homemade pizza.
Might as well enjoy the pizza. Yeah,
exactly. So, you know what I mean? So, I mean, like, I don't want to leave on a down note, but that's the thing is that life comes at you and you just don't know. So it's much better to just take the attitude of, I'm in no control of this. I can hopefully steer it the right way.
Yeah.
But in the end,
we all stop aging.
Yes.
There we go.
There we go.
I did it.
Now there's the button. We got
there it. There it is, folks. There it is.
Thanks, Carole.
Thank you.
See you back in the virtual green room.
Yeah, Carole, we'll see you in the green room.
I will not leave. I will be back in the green room. I'm not leaving. Bye, everybody.
Neil, we did it again.
Ryan, every month you manage to pull it off with my help.
No, you pull it off with my. Wait, which one's better? I want which one everyone sounds better.
We'll discuss this over lunch.
Yes. Thank you again. Oh yeah, follow us on Facebook, and thank you to Frigid.
Like them on all the social media if you haven't already, and find out what they're up to. Other than
go to their shows, and go to Carole's shows, and go to Carole's shows at Frigid. And thank you again to Amanda, who's makes all of these things possible and a lot of other things possible that you don't even see.
Right.
We couldn't find our asses with a map.
Is that
I didn't say that. I was not. You couldn't find it with both hands. I think you couldn't find your.
All right, enough of that. Okay.
Anyways, wrap it up.
Amanda, you're wonderful. Frigid, thank you. Carole, thanks for joining us. Everybody who tuned in, thank you. Kelsey, Amanda, somebody, thanks for popping into the chat. Follow us on Facebook, and we will talk to y'all soon.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Betty White.